Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about density, and before we go into the science, we're just going to do a very simple simulation. I'm just going to throw some stuff into water, and then you're going to tell me and predict, are they going to float or are they going to sink? The first thing I have is a block of wood, and I'm going to drop it in. Float or sink? Okay, it floats. Next, I'm going to change it to ice. Can you tell me whether ice will float? Yes, it does. If you do not know this, I highly recommend that you buy yourself a iced Milo at the canteen. All right, next, let's try aluminum metal block. Okay, if I throw it into the water, will it float or will it sink? Okay, it sinks. And finally, the last one, styrofoam. All right, will it float or will it sink? Okay, it floats. Okay, so now let's talk about the science behind it and this concept called density. So the concept is very simple. If I have an object and I throw it into a fluid, if the object is less dense than the fluid, it will float. Okay, so let's go through some simple examples. So we have seen these three. So can you tell me if I throw a block of ice into the water, will it float or will it sink? Okay, it will float because it is less dense than water. If I throw a block of iron into water, will it float or will it sink? It will sink because iron is more dense than water. Okay, same for the brick. The brick will sink when I throw it into water. Okay, so these are some very simple examples. So let's try something a little bit more tricky. If I have ice and I have honey, will it float or will it sink? And how do I find out? Okay, the way that you find out is that you open Google and you find out their densities. So let's take a look. Ice has a density of 0.9. It is lesser than honey, which is 1.42. So because ice is less dense than honey, if I put it in, ice will float on honey. Okay, which is great news for people who want to buy iced honey drinks. Okay, so let's try something a little bit tricky. Ice and petrol. Will it float or will it sink? So how do we find out? We compare their densities. The density of ice, again 0.9. Density of petrol, 0.71. So ice is actually more dense than petrol. So if I throw it in, it will sink. All right, simple enough. So do not throw ice into your dad's petrol tank in his car. So the summary of today's very short video is, if I want to find out whether something floats or it sinks, I compare their densities. If it is less dense, it will float. And that's it for today's video. Thank you.